Hello, Jamie Bishop with Soul Heart Entertainment here to talk about toes. We're talking toe reading today. And just to start this out, I want to let you guys know that September is my birthday month. Yay! So for my birthday, I am gifting anybody who wants it, well, not anybody, the first 50 people who want them, 50% off of toe readings. So it's an absolutely amazing deal. You definitely should take advantage of it. If you don't know what toe reading can do for you, private message me and we can get into that discussion. And in the meantime, let's do some live online toe reading. All right. So, you know what? I'm going to start today. I had a little bit of a frazzly kind of a day, so I'm going to start today with a little bit of some deep breaths, grounding and centering. So feel free to join me. Take a few deep breaths in through your nose, hold it at the top, and out through your mouth. Again. And a third time. And just take a moment to calm your heart rate. About 30 seconds. Okay. Thank you for joining me for that fantastic moment to get better centered and better grounded in my life and experience here on Earth. Who else sometimes feel like they're not from Earth or like they struggle with being here? That'd be me. All right, so in September for the Karmic Soul Reset program, we are talking about relationships. I'm sorry, we're not talking about relationships. That's in December. This month, September, we are talking about the big picture and our destiny and our destined path and kind of what we're here to do and create in the world. That's what we're talking about for the whole month of September. So in the grand scheme of the big picture in life, one of the things, there are two very specific trigger points that come up for most of my clients, and that is triggers around career for obvious reasons, and then triggers around family. So, you know, when we go to pursue, it's interesting how when we go to pursue certain careers in our life, how our family gets triggered by that, right? And so we get triggered because we want to, you know, we either want to please them or we definitely don't care about them, but there's a trigger there. There can be a trigger there anyway. And so we deal a lot with how to handle those triggers and what those triggers are in the reality of life in general. And I'm gonna lower, my hubby was so sweet. He went out and bought me a new light stand. So I'm struggling getting to know it a little bit better. So let me adjust it just a touch. Okay, I think that's a little bit better. It feels like my pillows are in a better place. There you go. Okay, so let's talk about the big picture. The big picture in toe reading is all about the destiny toe and the big toe. Okay, so destiny and prosperity and destiny and big picture. Maybe we should take more deep breaths today. So on the toe reading map, which you'll find in the files on the Soul Heart Entertainment page, you will find the toe reading map, which has kind of a little bit of a guidance as to what you're looking at when you're looking at your toes and the energy behind where those meridians fall on your feet. Naturally, we have meridians all over our body, and there's all kinds of different ways to read what's out there. My husband suggested at one point in time that we should develop some sort of elbow reading. And wouldn't that be amazing? I love it because it, hey, who am I to say that it doesn't work? It might, you never know. So, but the toe reading thing is pretty darn fascinating to me. So when we're talking about toe reading, we're talking about ether, air, fire, water, and earth, which is fascinating to me because when I was an artist, or when I was doing a lot of artwork in art school, ether, air, fire, water, and earth, that was my whole thing. That was what I did art about. And this was long, long, long before I ever found toe reading in my life. So it's just fascinating to me how it kind of comes back around and shows up in other places in our life, all that education we put toward ourselves. So destiny and the big picture. Air is communication and kind of the way that we analyze things is that pointer toe, pointer finger toe, the second toe. Fire is all about action and temperament, and water is about how we go with the flow. It also happens to be about our relationships in our life. And then earth is the only one that's different from foot to foot. On the left foot, it's about faith and trust, and on the right foot, it's about prosperity and abundance. And because our discussion today and really throughout the month of September is going to be about the big picture, we're going to look at big toes today. So take a look at these fantastic big toes. I'm going to take it out of this guide so that you can see it. You can see them up close and personal. And you can see them without the shine of the sheet protector on them. So what do you think about these toes? Do you think this person has some big ideas in their life? I think that person has some big ideas in their life. So these feet, the archetypes, I talk about the archetypes every once in a while, and the archetypes on these feet show up so strongly. So I'm going to talk about archetypes. For this person, the archetype is definitely queen energy. It's kind of the patriarchal type of energy. So this person is probably very in charge in her life. She's probably showing up in boss scenarios all over the place, whether it's her family, whether it's her career. And she has a lot of really fantastic ideas. So that shows up when you're looking at the big toe. You can see that it's particularly big. I mean, it's a wide toe. It's a fairly long toe. That it's not long in comparison to anything. Like it's not abnormally long, but it's big. It's a big toe. So she has a lot of really big, great, wonderful ideas. What she does with those ideas is she holds them back. She holds them back to herself. So this is, and that shows up in, you can see how the bulbousness of the toe, like it kind of plumps out a little bit. You can see that. So at some point in her life, and the timeline of the toes is where the toe meets the foot, that is birth, and the tip of our toe is where we are now. So it's interesting, when we stub our toes, we're dealing with stubbing something that's going on in our life. So it depends on the toe that you stub, but that's kind of a hyper awareness for you if you're ever stubbing your toe on something or stubbing it multiple times, which I hear happens quite often. That's kind of your angels talking to you. That's giving you an awareness of something. So if it's on, let's say, the big toe, let's say we're stubbing our big toe fairly regularly, that means that you probably want to look at what you're doing for your destined path or your legacy. And if you're not on path, you'll keep stubbing your toe until you get on path. It's totally amazing how that kind of stuff works. But anyway, back to these toes, back to kind of, you can see that when the toe, as the toe comes off of the foot, it's fairly normal as far as the size, and then all of a sudden it kind of plumps out. It kind of has that bulbous thing happen. And I hate the word normal because it's just a bad word, but in this particular case, I'm trying to point something specific out. And that is that you can see that there's a line right here, and there's a line right here. And then right before her toenail, there's another line, okay? So these are deep crevices in this person's toes, on this foot, and on, I didn't write on these, but, okay, so this is the left foot, and this is the right foot. Let me just write that really quick. Left and right. I guess this is why I worked at Romano's Macaroni Grill once upon a time, when we had to write our name upside down and backwards to our guests. So I can do that now. Who knew? All right. So on the timeline of her right foot, which is her external self, at birth, she probably had a hard birth. Her mom had a hard birth. She had a hard time coming into this world. There was some trauma and drama that happened there, people, because of that deep crevice. So there's a little bit of forgiveness work to do around that. At the halfway point of her life, so about half of her lifetime ago, another fairly big event happened in her life that created another crevice, okay? So these crevices kind of show, in the timeline of our life, they show kind of a deep valley. She hit kind of a low point maybe in her life at that point. Then right before her nail, you can see that there's another crevice going on. So that would lead me to believe that she went through maybe a major life change at that point in time. So maybe a divorce or something, maybe lost a child or something. I don't even know. I don't remember whose feet these are. I get feet and I use them anonymously so that nobody knows whose feet they are, because I don't even know whose feet they are. Anyway, so back to this. We're talking about how she held on to these big ideas. So in the first part of her life, she came off and she was sharing her big ideas and everybody and their grandmother was listening to her. And then when she went through this pretty dramatic downshift in her life, I don't know what happened, but she went through something pretty severe. She started holding back her big ideas. She started not sharing them with the world. And so that's where it shows up, and I'm getting my confirmation goosebumps as I say that. So I know that that's true for this person. So when it comes to sharing your big ideas, one of the things that you want to look for are toes that are super straight. They're fairly, they come off. I'm looking for one right now. For example, this gal shares her big ideas. She does not have trouble sharing her big ideas. I know, you know, in the reflection on the video, I'm seeing that it kind of looks like it bulbs out, like that other one bulbs out, but it's not the case. That's just a shadow on this particular picture. So let me see if I can find, the ultimate person who shares probably too many thoughts. It's not possible, people. Share all your thoughts always. But she is a big picture person as well. You can tell because she has a big toe that's substantially wider than the rest of her toes. And it comes straight forward, and there's no holding back in that toe. So that's kind of the comparison of somebody who's holding back the big picture or the destined path in their life and not following their destined path. And you know, we all have good reasons for making the decisions that we make, don't we? We all have good reasons for some of the decisions that we make. Whether they're valid reasons is a whole nother conversation. That's a conversation around belief systems. That's a conversation around thoughts, feelings, and emotions that get trapped in our bodies. Anyway, so back to these toes, just because I think that this is a fantastic picture to look at right now. So if you'll notice, when I received this picture, this person had they had really, really dark nail polish on. Dark nail polish is a sign that they're going through something dark, or that they have very dark thoughts, and or that they have a veil over those dark thoughts, so that they, oh, hey, Sam, how are you? I'm so glad you're here, yay! So yeah, so this person had a veil of, they didn't want to share. They didn't want to share what was going on in their mind, especially when it came to the big picture, because even though she has dark on the rest of her toes, do you guys not see that there's major, major dark stuff happening there? Because those big toes just pop out at you, right? So she has some dark stuff. She's going through some dark stuff. And you can see at the very, very tip of the nail, there's a little, like it's broken, okay? So when your toenails show up as not well cared for, as not managed well, and not filed, and not maintained, and either they're too long for the pad or they're jagged edges, the jagged edges could be that there's jagged thoughts that keep coming to mind, that there's, you know, dis-ease around being happy and being satisfied and having a smooth experience. It's more going to be a bumpy experience. So really pay attention to those toes and how you're taking care of the toenails. When the toenail is longer than the padding, for me, it's a little slightly different for the person involved. But for me personally, when my nails get longer than my pads, I get crazy caught in my head, and I feel like I'm on a hamster wheel. So if you hear yourself saying, like, I've had this thought 4,000 times today, what the heck is going on? I welcome you to trim your toenails. I know it seems ridiculous, right? But it's so true. It works every single time. It works every single time to me. It's like I compare it to putting the carrot before the horse in, you know, having a cart. You know how they used to put like a fishing rod and a carrot dangling just to make the horse go? It's kind of like that. Our thoughts get out in front of us and they get so far ahead of us that we can't, or just enough far ahead of us that we can't gain control of it. So it's kind of like trimming your nails is like, controlling the cart of your life, if you will. I use metaphors a lot. So another thing that I see on these toes, and it's not none of this is criticism. It's merely observation. But this is a woman, and she has hair growing on her big toe. Now, we all have hair growing on our big toe, right? Most women that I know, at least here in America, have a tendency to keep those hairs in check. There's not very many on women. There's usually a lot more on men. But when we keep the hair on our toe a little bit more in check, what that means is that we're kind of keeping our emotions a little bit more in check. So if your emotions feel really wild and really all over the place and you're kind of out of control, emotionally speaking, a lot of times if we shave our hair, or if we kind of get rid of that hair, we're getting rid of the sensitivity. You know, think about what hair is on our body. It's these little teeny tiny sensory things, right? It's the sensory that literally are connected to our nervous system. So when we have hair that stands up, or we have hair that's longer or whatever than it maybe otherwise would be, We have a tendency to be more sensitive. We have a tendency to be a little bit more emotional. So it's very logical, this stuff. It's crazy logical, actually. That's why I love it so much. I feel like I'm constantly smiling through these videos. It just makes me so happy. But then it's funny because every time I go to look at the video after the fact and make sure that the description is right and all that kind of stuff, they have me frozen in like these crazy positions my face is in. So I have to choose very specific images to make the image that shows up first semi appealing, right? All right, so let's move on. If you guys have any big toe questions, I would love to answer them for you. So please type them in the box below. In the meantime, let's talk about these toes, okay? So this person, you can see she has her feet right next to each other, and her toes kind of jut out in, as you're looking at the toe reading map, you would see that they jut out toward the future, okay? So when it comes to the big picture or her destiny, she is very future oriented. Do you see that? So when she's thinking future thoughts, it's interesting because we as a human species have a tendency to there's almost like two classes of people. There are people who are spontaneous and right here, right now, in the moment. Everything is what it is, and they're, peace, love, dove, happy with that. Or maybe it's just these people that I come across. Or they're very structured, they're very rigid, they have, not rigid, but they have a plan in mind. There's a plan going on there, right? And so when we're looking at the big toe, when it comes to planners versus somebody who's in the moment as we speak, they're very, very different big toes. This person is a planner, but because she has these plans put in the future, she probably doesn't see a whole lot of fruit from her labor. That's the right way to say it? Yeah. So she probably has these fabulously big ideas. She probably shares, she actually does share them with friends. You can see that her big toes don't bulb up too much, so she's not holding back. She's telling people about her big plans, but then there's no action happening. There's no, sorry. Usually when I do these, I put my phone on do not disturb, and I forgot to do that. So anyway, but yeah, so she is somebody who thinks too much in the future. This person right here is somebody who is way better about keeping their vibration and experience in the here and now. See how these toes they come far more straight off of her feet. And so she's going to be somebody who's going to be really good about being present. She's not going to take calls when you're sitting at lunch together. She's going to be there having conversation with you, right? All right, let me see some of these comments here. It says, I notice both my big toes have started doing that too. Okay, so you're starting to plan too much in the future. Is that what you're telling me? Your toes are going out to the kind of the outside of you? That is future-oriented thoughts. So I welcome you to consider that when you're talking about plans that you want to create, let's say you want to take a really big trip, and it's a big trip for your family, and it might take a little bit of extra planning to save, and create the stops on the way and reservations and all that kind of good stuff. So we're taking a fantastic trip, and we have planning to do for that trip, but we're putting that trip too much in future speak, okay? So we're saying, when we take that trip, we might get around to taking that trip. So it's kind of that future speak. I welcome you to consider that when you're talking about that trip, you're talking about right here, right now. So even if that trip isn't going to happen for 2 years, you talk about that trip in the present. When, we are, like, imagine with me for a minute. We are in, I don't know, Scotland. Okay, we're in Scotland. We are visiting castles. We are staying at castles. We are eating some of the most amazing cuisine from little pubs along the way. We rent a car that takes us everywhere we need to go because it's this tiny island that we could technically do in a day, but we don't want to. We want to take our time and enjoy it. That kind of stuff. It's really interesting how your big toe and those big destined plans will, that explains why Scotland came to me. I'm like, really? Scotland? Okay, we'll do that. Fabulous. I love that. Thank you for the confirmation. So it is Scotland. So one of the things that I welcome you to do is set up your savings account to take, however much money, do a little bit of the future planning, do a little bit of the investigation into how much money it costs to stay at where you want to stay and how much money you're going to need to go on the trip and buy your meals and all that kind of good stuff. But set up a savings account to just withdraw it automatically. Like, set it up and don't even worry about it. And if you need to break into that piggy bank every so often to, deal with some sort of whatever that comes your way, so the next time that you go to save, you save more. You save just a tiny bit more, right? So that your saving is happening automatic and you don't have to think about it. And that way, when you're dreaming about being there, you can feel the air on your skin because it's going to be really, really damp and moist. It's going to be cold there. We're Americans. We don't know what kind of cold Scotland and Ireland have. It's freezing cold there. So dress appropriately. Start, gathering some fabulous clothes that you can take on this trip. Anyway, so that's kind of my thoughts and feelings around the big picture toe, the destiny toe. You want to keep the languaging around anything having to do with your big picture or your destiny in the present tense. And I'm telling you, it's crazy miraculous how things will come your way. It will come your way through, random money that you didn't even expect. It will come your way through other people wanting to take the trip and maybe going with, people that you would want to take the trip with you and go with you. It would, maybe you run into somebody who just took the trip and you can have the conversation about, ooh, you have to go see this, that kind of thing. So it's amazing how people will show up in your life and make it happen for you. And not only make it happen for you faster, but make it happen for you like miraculously, so that maybe you didn't know that this particular castle had this kind of history, and you are far more interested in this kind of history, and you run into somebody who tells you that. It's crazy how that kind of stuff. It's so cool. I love it. So keep your thoughts, feelings, and emotions a little bit more present. That's definitely how to end up with these kind of toes. I love these toes. This person does not have a whole lot of drama and trauma in their life. That's probably a super young person, right? Right. Absolutely. No, I'm kidding. The drama and trauma that we go through, I'm telling you, it is all educational. It's fantastic. Think of it as fantastic, because if we didn't have the experience, we wouldn't be who we are right this second. And we're pretty cool, huh? We're pretty good people. All right, my friends, thank you so much for being here today. It's Jamie Bishop with Soul Heart Entertainment. And just as a little reminder, all of September, it's my birthday month this month. So I am gifting you guys with a 50% savings on all toe readings, all levels. So if you want a quick basic level, if you want an intermediate level, or if you want a master level, all levels of toe readings are on sale this month only. And I decided, thank you very much. I will take that happy birthday to me, yay. But I will, this is the last month, I've decided that this is the last month I'm ever going to discount anything through Soul Heart Entertainment. So please consider having a, oh, thank you, having a toe reading. It's absolutely amazing. It's so much fun. You send me a picture, I send you a video, and it's simply that easy. All right, my friends, thank you. I love my blouse too. All right, you guys, bye for now.